Hey there, this is a short video on search engine optimization or SEO. Some of this stuff is going to be very basic, but I think there's a couple of good reasons to show you what I'm doing. On the one hand, even something you set up a long time ago that has been a little bit successful, you can make really significant gains just by doing a total makeover. And this is the same thing that I'm doing with most of my books. I'm just putting on a new cover or new blurb and making sure that everything is okay so that maybe the advertising that didn't work before can now can now start to work and be profitable. So this particular site has a bunch of book formatting templates that they can download. This site doesn't look that terrible. I'm kind of happy with it, although if I scroll down, it starts to get really messy and even broken and ugly down towards the bottom. And that's because I use something called Optimized Press. And Optimized Press is a website page builder. So inside of WordPress, it used to be kind of difficult to make a page exactly as you want it. It was good for blogging, and you could get a simple theme that would just make everything look good. But if you want to build a more complex page with different elements, like a landing page or a sales page, then it was frustrating. So there's a bunch of WordPress landing page builders, and there's a bunch of WordPress landing page plugins like Elementor, which a lot of people will tell you not to use because something like Elementor, anything that lets you build a specific page, will actually really slow down the site. So it's really not worth using. And what WordPress is good at is just making a fast, functional site. However, I'll show you another example. This is Creativity, my main site. So I put a new blog theme, a new WordPress theme on probably like 5 or 6 months ago. But I never really finished customizing everything. I thought that if I just put some really serious big pages here, then most of the traffic would go to my pages and then they would see my offers more easily, which really hasn't done very much for me. But I went back yesterday. I do have a page builder on this. I think it's Elementor. There's also WP Bakery, which is another big landing page builder. So I didn't do very much, but at the bottom I have this featured images, and I also have a really big call to action opt-in page, which I didn't have before. So the idea is when you are getting, a significant amount of traffic, then you kind of have to start thinking, how can I optimize this better? How can I get more people to sign up to my email list? I also put a few new things on my sidebar, a few offers, a few things that they can sign up for, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It doesn't all look great, so I have some work to do just in terms of design. It is important just to have a clean, fast website. That'll make a big difference in traffic. If Google can see that your website loads quickly, more people will stick around and read your content. And if the page loads really slowly, a lot of people might bail. So Google will see that, 50% of people are bailing after, I think it's like 3 seconds or something, maybe even less. If your content isn't loading and a lot of the traffic Google sends you can't access your content and they, leave because they're impatient, that's really going to hurt your traffic. But that's not actually what this video is going to be about. We're going to talk specifically about easy SEO wins. The other thing with page builders is with WordPress, you can usually just put a new theme on and everything will look good. Everything will look the same way. But if you're using a page builder like Elementor or WP Bakery or Optimized Press, if you try to switch to a different theme, all your pages are going to be broken. So I actually found out that Optimized Press has a newer version out, which I like a lot. It's pretty good. It works very smoothly. The only problem is it's so new that if I just try to upgrade to the newest Optimized Press, all of my original pages end up broken. So it's not a quick fix where I can just plug in a new page. I'm going to have to rebuild all of my pages with the new Optimized Press system. And then, once I've built the new pages, I can rebuild my menus and the home page so that only the new pages are showing up. So that's a longer process. It'll probably take me, maybe a week to redo all the main pages. I don't have tons of pages. Pages are in WordPress, you have pages and posts. So hopefully all of my posts, which look pretty bad already, they will just work with the new WordPress theme once I turn it on. But I have to fix all my main pages first and redesign them. And I have maybe, 10, maybe 20 at most. This tool is useful for analyzing how your website is already doing. So if you haven't used a tool like this before, I would put in your own website and just see if you're ranking at all and what you're ranking for. And what I noticed recently when I use this tool is that I was ranking pretty good for free fonts out of the entire world. I'm number 25, but I was, 7 points higher, so number 18 for free fonts. And that's kind of interesting because that's your low-hanging fruit. If you're ranking, no matter what you're ranking, maybe you're ranking in the top 100 or something, you could probably be doing better. So find the posts that get a lot of search volume that you're already ranking for, and then fix those posts, improve those posts so that they have better content for people. I'm also ranking pretty good for EPUB, almost 50,000 searches, and I was number 8. So the nice thing, and this is why I kind of like that, it's a weird thing to talk about. I don't want to say like I like doing things badly, but if you put up a lot of content and you do, maybe you don't spend a ton of time making it perfect, but you just put it up because you think it might be useful. If it is useful and people share it, then eventually you'll start ranking for things. And once you are ranking for things, you can go back and fix it up. At that point, since these pages are so bad right now, I think it's going to be pretty easy for me to rank higher, which is kind of exciting. So let me show you what I mean by they're bad. They're really bad. So I'll start with best free fonts. Best free fonts actually gets, a ton of search traffic, and this page is not optimized at all. This was just for like best free fonts for book cover design. And it was actually for book design, and I meant formatting, like to format your book in Microsoft Word because people are searching for that. So I had this little list made. I made these little pictures. I don't think these are all even free fonts. I have a couple. Anyway, that was basically it. So I'm ranking pretty well for free fonts, even though this page doesn't really have a lot of content. And I am planning to redesign this entire site with the newer optimized press. But one thing you want to be aware of is if you do a really significant site makeover design change, it could mess up your Google ranks if you change things a lot. So I don't want to change this content too much. Or the flip side of that is I want to change the content first and make sure I keep my ranking before I do a significant design change. So that's actually what I'm going to do. And it only took me about 5 minutes to do some on-page SEO. And by on-page SEO, now that I know that free fonts is the keyword that I'm ranking for, that's the one I want to boost. I want to make sure I have this keyword in more places. This is a H1 or probably H2 or H3 tag up here. So in my headings, in my subheadings, I want, more free fonts to be repeated on the page. But I also want, good content that helps more people. I do have some videos. The other thing that I only started figuring out kind of recently that I'm kind of playing with, I have a lot of YouTube videos, but I don't always do anything with my YouTube videos. I also have not really optimized YouTube at all. And one pretty easy win, I think, is taking my YouTube videos and just embedding them on some of my websites with high page authority. I think that's kind of an easy boost that lets YouTube know that this is a good video and they will share it to more people. So I left this first section pretty much alone, although I will comment on a couple of things. This looks like it. I've got links to where to download this font if they click on it. So it's links away to my website. And then I've got a picture. The pictures don't really help at all with SEO if they're not optimized, which means you need to put in some description or a title about your pictures so that the robots can read what the picture is about. I probably didn't even do that. I'll check in a minute. As a really quick, simple win, I added, this was an article from my other site, which is Creative Indie. This is the whole blog. And I just copy-pasted all the content from Creative Indie over to this other DIY book formats site, which is not the way that you should do it. I should have uploaded all of these pictures as new pictures so that, it would count as content for this site instead of just being copycat content from another site. Google's probably not going to like that very much, but I just wanted to do something kind of quick. I will go back later and fix all this stuff, but for right now, there's just some more content, which means I'm already getting some traffic to this site. there's kind of two ways to look at this. On the one hand, I'll have more content now, which is SEO optimized. I have more pictures, I have more subheadings, so that might be a little bit good, although I don't know that Google will love that it's not original content because I copied it from my other site. But the other thing is that people who come to this page, instead of just spending 5 or 10 seconds clicking away and going somewhere else, now I have all this content here. It'll take them longer to look it all over. So I might see, if people spend longer time on your page, Google will notice that and think that you have more valuable content, and then they'll promote you, by boosting your rank. So I do need to rewrite all this stuff. I also did it because I already have some built-in links and things, so it was just easier. But I do need to rewrite it so it's unique content. But for the moment, I just wanted to dump a bunch of content there so people get more valuable content that they like, that they stick around, because I think maybe this article is actually getting more traffic than the main article on Creative Indie. So as long as people are here, I want them to see my best content. A little thing down here, this is 10 years old now. It hasn't been updating the copyright tag, so I definitely need to fix that when I remake over the whole site. So the other thing that I said was important, and how it's not great that these are just, images without anything going on. So if I'm inside of the WordPress editor, which looks something like this, it's a small window and it's weird because it's an optimized press. But when I redo it with the whole system, I'll be able to redesign it and make it look good. One thing, for example, under each one of these items, it's basically like the name of the font and a picture. I could have a little paragraph here that says something like, this is the best free serif font for blah, blah, blah. Just a couple of sentences so that I have more words on the page, because Google can't really read all the pictures. But with the pictures, if I click on the picture and I go here to edit, then I can edit the image details, and WordPress usually looks like this. So I have the alternative text. I could have a caption which shows on the page. There's a display for where it's going, and then down here there's some advanced options. There's an image title attribute. So a really, really simple quick win would be to make sure I've got some keywords. You don't really just want to keyword stuff. Like, I don't want to just say best free fonts for every image, because the reason, it's important to put text on your image so that people can, not only robots, but also, other people can see what the image is about, even if they're sight impaired. And something else I just figured out, I think a lot of these fonts, they're not even free fonts. I don't know that they're all free fonts. I'll have to research that again and make sure I'm doing that right. But even if I just said modern serif font, so now I've got the name of the font and I have some keywords, modern serif font, and then I'll copy paste this down into the title. It's not a huge thing, but it does help a little bit, especially when you have a ton of images on the page like I do. Also, right now, this image is linking to the image. So if they click on the image, something will happen. If I had a really good light box, like when they click on the image, it should pop up in a light box which features the image. But probably it's not doing that. It's just going straight to the image itself. I might just remove this link because it's not helpful for a mouse over on that image. If people click it, they think something good is going to happen. Maybe it zooms in a little bit, but it also just takes them away from the page. So until I've got that, working better from a usability point of view, I'll probably just make sure it's not linking to anything. So this part is pretty easy. I think originally the image just had the name of the font. So I'm just going back and adding best serif font. And I'm just going down the list and fixing all of these images. And I'll copy paste this to the title. That's all I'm doing. If you were setting up a new blog post, you'd want to do this for your featured image in the blog post. And it's probably a good idea to add some images into your blog post and then use the alternative text box and use the title tag to make sure that you've got some good keywords, just a little bit, so that if you don't have anything there, that's easy. If you don't have the right words there, that's also easy just to fix up. Someone who knows about SEO or they're better about intentional blogging, they probably would have done this already. An interesting thing, though, I have a suspicion that one of the reasons that my blogs rank really well is that I'm not being super intentional about it. If you are like, just trying to make some crappy website that ranks with a bunch of crappy content, you'd probably do all the SEO really, really well, but maybe the content wouldn't actually be very good. So I've always just focused on making the best, most useful content that people need. And I've been really lazy with my SEO. A lot of this is just screenshots that I just, I take a bunch of screenshots and I drag and drop them into WordPress, and I don't really optimize them at all. And actually, since this whole site is about book formatting, what I really should do is best serif font for book design and formatting. So that's almost like a little too much. But it also, makes it very clear what this site is about and what this page is about. So I'm going to do a couple of those just by copy pasting this whole part and then adding it to the end of those. So I worked through this whole list and I've got 27 at least images that are SEO optimized with keywords. So I'm not sure yet whether or not Google is going to love all the changes that I made, but hopefully at least my rank won't go down. And if more people stay on the page longer because I have more content, the rank will probably start going up. And I might wait a week or two just to kind of see how things are going, but then I am going to also redesign the entire site. So if the page is cleaner and it loads faster and it looks better, I'll probably get a boost for that as well. So if you're an author, you might be thinking this is great, but how can I actually use it to sell more books? So as an example, here's one of my young adult fiction sites. It used to have a huge image on top, and I basically just cleaned up the site a little bit and took away the header so it's faster and a little bit cleaner. And I have these lists of best books in all the genres that I write in or that I want to write in. So if I click on, for example, mermaids, I also think this site doesn't look that great. It's using an older WordPress theme and I kind of have to clean it all up. But this is basically just a list of young adult mermaid books. So I also haven't really updated. You can see there's something weird going on there. I need to go back and fix. I don't know what's going on. So you want to make it look good. And there should be like really clear call to actions, like click here to get it on Amazon or a button or something. But a really easy thing that I could do is make sure that each of these book cover images actually have the title tag and the alt text tag like I just showed you on the other site. And I basically want the best article on the internet. So I want the article about, best young adult mermaid books. Not only 32 is, pretty good, but if this was like 100 and I had 100 different book covers and all the book covers were optimized for on-page SEO, and if it was also really good content. So like when I do a book list like this, I shouldn't really just, this is too short of a summary. I really should have a full book review or some more content that has, more of the keywords. I could break them down into genres like best young adult mermaid fantasy or urban fantasy, or for girls under 10 or for teenagers or for adults. I could have more H2 tags and separate them into categories. And then if I scroll down long enough, I'll have my mermaid book here. I just redesigned the cover, which I like a lot. So when this was getting more traffic, I could just put like a big banner ad, or I could just put my book first on the list. So this is another example of a site where I created a lot of content and I ranked pretty well for a while, but I didn't really focus on the SEO. So now I'm not really getting as much traffic. Although still, if I go up here and search in Google for best YA mermaid books, I'm probably doing pretty well. I was number one for a long time, so now Epic Reads, which is a competitor, another young adult site, they're ranking. Goodreads is ranking. Candid Cover, I don't actually know very much about that site, so they're ranking ahead of me, and here's mine. The other thing I could try, so when people search for stuff on Google, they get this preview of the header image, and I have a header image with a lot of book covers, which might work, but if I put in some just incredible fantasy mermaid art instead, that they could see as a thumbnail, they might be more interested in clicking the link because I had some really good art here. So that's another thing that I would try. Or like this one, they just have the keyword mermaid books really big and bold as the image. So I have a lot of content, so this is a really big project for me to go back and redo all of these sites and pages. But the advantage is if I can boost my traffic enough, every time that someone searches for a book in my genre, they'll see my book first in the article that they click on when they're doing research. This is similar to how you want to do your Amazon page. When people are on Amazon and they search for the book, you want your book to come up. It's similar because Google also checks the on-page SEO of the book, like what is the article actually about, and how long people spend on your page, whether or not they are satisfied. Amazon keeps track of, when people go to your page, is this what they were looking for, and do they click and buy the book? If that's yes at a certain percentage, Amazon will say this book is converting. Now we know who to show it to. Let's show it to more of those people so we can keep making money. Amazon's pretty smart about recommendations. It's going to get a lot smarter, and you can't really there's only so much you can do with keyword hacking or hacking Amazon or whatever. You can optimize your page so at least it gets some visibility. That's like a base level that you should absolutely do. But it's also completely going to depend on, if you can get your page in front of people, do they like the content enough to, spend time there, to click around, take a closer look, and to maybe go on to purchase it. And that's going to come down to, if you're selling books, does the, first of all, is your cover good enough? Do you have enough book reviews? Is your blurb good enough? But then also, is the first chapter good enough to get people hooked and to continue reading until they finish the story? So that's some stuff that, I talk a lot about writing and the craft. Of course, you can get better at all that stuff. I may go back and fix books that I wrote years ago because I think I can do better now. You always want to do the best that you can, but there is also the truth that a lot of people's first few books are maybe not as good as they think they are, or they're not satisfying, readers for whatever reason, or maybe you're just targeting the wrong audience, so the wrong audience is not satisfied with the content. And of course, you want to get better at the writing, but that's a pretty difficult process to get better and to learn how to write. Figuring out your keywords and your audience and optimizing your on-page SEO for your blog and for Amazon, that's something that's not actually that hard to do, that you can do pretty quickly. That's all I've got for this video. Let me know if you have any questions.